Hey everyone, today we're going to be adding and subtracting mixed numbers with regrouping. We know we can do this by using a written method, and we'll know we'll be able to do this when we can solve two involving the addition and subtraction of mixed numbers with regrouping on the exit ticket. Let's get started first by looking at step-by-step directions. So first is they're going to give you an equation like the one that you see right up here. So we have 1 and 5/6 plus 2 and 2/3. Well, we can see that the denominators are 6 and 3, so they're not common denominators. We need to create equivalent mixed numbers or equivalent fractions so that they do have common denominators. You can see here, we know the common denominator is 6. So 1 and 5/6 can stay the same, but for 2 and 2/3, we can multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2, and we get 2 and 4/6. Now, we're going to start by adding the fractions. So we have into an eraser. Okay, so we have 5/6 plus 4/6, which is 9/6, which is how we got the 9/6 here. And then we have 1 plus 2, which gets us the 3 here. So our answer would be 3 and 9/6. But the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So we can actually simplify this. Here, we can see we have 3 and 9/6, which was our answer. We can separate this by writing 3 over here, which was the whole number in front. And then we know that we can at least rewrite one whole or take out one whole from the fraction since the numerator is bigger than 1 or bigger than the denominator. So one whole can be written as 6/6. That's how we got the 6/6. Now we're thinking, what can we add to 6/6 to get to 9/6? And that would be here, the 3/6. So we have 3 plus 6/6 plus 3/6, which is the 3 and 9/6 that we had started with. Well, we know 6/6 is equivalent to one whole, so we really have 3 plus 1, which is 4 here, and then our leftover 3/6 is here at the end of our mixed number. So we have 4 and 3/6. We're going to try this on two problems. Starting with guided learning A, we have 2 and 2/3 plus 3/4. We can see that our denominators are 3 and 4, so those aren't common denominators. We're going to make common denominators and equivalent fractions by listing the multiples of our denominators. So we have 3, that would be 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And then we have 4, which is 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. We're going to look at both lists to decide which number is in both lists first, and we see that's 12. So 12 is going to be our common denominator. We're going to start by rewriting 2 and 2/3 as a fraction over 12. So starting with the denominator, we see that 3 times 4 gets us to 12. So let's multiply by 4 on the top. 2 times 4 is 8. So we have 8/12, and the 2 stays the same, 2 and 8/12. We're going to do the same thing for 3/4. Our denominator is going to be 12. Now we think, what do I multiply by 4 to get to 12? And that's 3. So let's multiply the top by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So our new equation is 2 and 8/12 plus 9/12. Start by adding the fractions first. 8/12 plus 9/12 is 17/12. And then remember, if this fraction here, there's no whole number in front, that just means there's nothing there. There's no value, so it's 0. 2 plus 0 is 2. So we have 2 and 17/12. But the 17 is bigger than the 12, so the numerator is bigger than the denominator, which means that we can regroup and add 1 to the whole number. So right now, we can split this apart. We have 2 plus, I'm thinking what I can add, or how I can rewrite 1, and that would be over 12, that'd be 12/12. This equals the one whole that we're going to be adding to our whole number. So 2 plus 12/12, and now I'm thinking, what do I add to 12/12 to get to 17/12? That's 5/12. So 2 plus the 1, which is represented by 12 twelfths, plus 5 twelfths. Let's see, 2 plus 1 is 3, and 5 twelfths left over. So our answer is 3 and 5 twelfths. Let's try that on another problem. We have guided learning B, 3 and 4 fifths plus 1 and 2/3. Once again, our denominators are not the same, so we're going to make a list of multiples to find our common denominator. We're going to list out the multiples of 5, which is 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. Then we're going to list out our multiples of 3, which is 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So let's see, looking at both lists, the number that appears first in both lists would be 15. So we know 15 is our common denominator. We're going to go here and 3 and 4 fifths. And we're going to rewrite this using 15. Let's see, we know that 5 times 3 gets us to 15, so let's multiply by 3 on the top. 4 times 3 is 12, and then the whole number stays the same, 3 and 12 fifteenths. Let's do the same thing with 1 and 2/3. We know that 3 times 5 gets us to 15, so let's multiply by 5 on the top. 2 times 5 is 10, and the whole number stays the same. So we have 3 and 12 fifteenths minus, I'm sorry, not minus, 1 and 10 fifteenths. Start by adding the fractions first. 12 fifteenths plus 10 fifteenths is 22 fifteenths. And now you can add the whole numbers. 3 plus 1 is 4. So our answer could be 4 and 22 fifteenths, but because the numerator is bigger than the denominator, we can simplify. We're going to go ahead and see. All right. So what we do is separate out the fractions and the whole number. We have our 4. We're going to add. So we know that 22 fifteenths, we know if one whole is equal to 15 fifteenths, and we have more than 15 fifteenths, that means that we can take out at least one whole. So one whole can be written as 15 fifteenths. And now we're going to see, what can I add to 15 fifteenths to get to 22 fifteenths? That would be 7 fifteenths. So you have 4 plus 1, because 1 equals 15 fifteenths, plus 7 fifteenths. All right, 4 plus 1 is 5, and we have 7 fifteenths left over. 5 and 7 fifteenths is our answer. Let's try some subtracting problems. First, we're going to look at step-by-step directions again. We're going to start with our equation up here at the top, which is 3 and 1/3 minus 1 and 1/2. We can see that the denominators are different, so we need to create common denominators. We know that a common denominator would be 6. So if we look here, we know that 3 times 2 equals 6. So 1 times 2 equals 2. So we have 3 and 2, 6. And then the next fraction, 2 times 3 equals 6. So let's multiply by 3 on the top. 1 times 3 is 3, which is how we got 1 and 3, 6. Our equation now reads 3 and 2, 6 minus 1 and 3, 6. And we've got to figure out what that equals. Well, if we start with subtracting the fractions first, 2, 6 minus 3, 6 we can't do. So we're going to have to regroup from the whole number. We can do that here. We know that we're going to borrow 1 from the whole number. So that means that if we're borrowing 1, we have 2 left over. 1 can be rewritten as 6, 6. And we see that we have 2 6 left over, which is what we got from right here. So 2 plus 6, 6, that's really just 3 that we started with. And then the 2 6 left over is from the next number we started with. So we have 2 and 6, 6 plus 2, 6. We're going to add these fractions. 6, 6 plus 2, 6 is the 8, 6 that we have down here. The 2 stays in the front. We still have 2 wholes, and we have 8, 6. And now we're going to subtract 1 and 3, 6. Start by subtracting the fractions first. 8, 6 minus 3, 6 is the 5, 6 that you see here. And then subtract the whole. 2 minus 1 is 1. So our answer would be 1 and 5, 6. Let's try that with guided learning C. We have 1 and 1/5 minus 1/2. We can see the denominators are 5 and 2, so we need to create equivalent fractions so that we have the same denominator. We do that by listing our multiples. Let's start with 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now we're going to do 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. All right, so let's see. We're going to see which numbers appears in both lists first, and that's 10. So we know our common denominator is 10. 1, 1/5, rewritten as tenths. We know 5 times 2 is 10, so let's multiply the top by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Keep the whole number the same. 1/2, rewritten as tenths. 2 times 5 equals 10, so let's multiply the top by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. So we can rewrite our equation. Remember, whatever the mixed number is in front needs to stay the same. So 1 and 1/5 was on front. We rewritten that as 1 and 2/10. That still needs to stay in the front. And now we're gonna, oops, and I'm over here completely messing up, so sorry. Okay, so we have 1 and 2/10, and now we're gonna subtract what the equivalent fraction is, sorry, which is 5/10. We start by subtracting the fractions first. 2/10 minus 5/10, we can't do the way that it is right now. So we're gonna rewrite 1 and 2/10. 1 can be rewritten as 10/10, and we're adding the leftover 2/10. So here we have 12/10, and now we're going to subtract 5/10. 12/10 minus 5/10 is 7/10. So that means our answer is 7/10. Let's try one more problem. 2 and 2/4 minus 1 and 4/5. We see the denominators are 4 and 5, so we need to create equivalent fractions with common denominators. So we're going to start by listing our multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Now we're going to multiply multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We're going to see which number appears in both lists first. We see that that's 20. So 20 is our common denominator. We have 2 and 2/4. Rewritten the 20ths. We know that 4 times 5 gets us to 20, so let's multiply the top by 5. 2 times 5 is 10, and the whole number stays the same in the front. Let's do the same thing with 1 and 4/5. Rewritten as 20ths. 4. 5 times 4 gets us to 20, so let's multiply the top by 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Whole number stays the same. So our equation can now be written as 2 and 10/20 minus 1 and 16/20. Start by subtracting the fractions first. 10/20 minus 16/20. We can't do that as it is, so we need to regroup and borrow from the 2, which is our whole number in front. So we're going to borrow 1, which means we only have 1 left. We can rewrite 1 whole as 20/20. So remember, 1 plus 20/20 is the same as 2. And now we're going to add 10/20. So this now is 1, and then 20/20 plus 10/20 is 30/20. We're going to subtract the 1 and 16/20. Now we can subtract. Start with the fractions first. 30/20 minus 16/20 is 14/20. And now subtract the wholes. 1 minus 1 is 0, so 14/20 is our answer.